Hi, everyone. It's Melanie Warner here. Welcome to Defining Moments TV. Today, we have two very special guests who are launching their books. So you're going to hear a little bit about their story. You're going to hear about their defining moments in their life and some of the things that they had to overcome to get here today to be speaking with us. And my first guest is Lewis Roden. Welcome, Lewis. Thank you for being here.
It is my pleasure to be here, Melanie. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. So if you could share with our audience just something like a defining moment in your life, what was something that was this big transition for you, or maybe a small transition that's kind of helped you transition into this place that you're at today?
Well, I think I said something different when we spoke before when we did the auto book launch, but I think I talked about when I created my consultancy in 2008. But now that I've thought about it, and now that I read my book again, sometimes you have to read your own book to remind some of to recall some of your own messages. I talk about in the book, and it was a poignant moment of my life that I was a severe stutterer growing up. Right, I used sign language through fourth grade. I was functionally mute, and I had this amazing therapist who, in fourth grade, so I was in mid grade school, and she was young and pretty. I think I had a crush on her, so I think that was part of it as a fourth grader. Because all the therapists I had before that were kind of old school in approach. And literally, Melanie, this woman saved my life, and she turned me into somebody who was the kid who ate by himself and hid in the corner. And I had friends, but as the kid that was a stutterer, all the rest of the kids that had any kind of a disability, especially then, not to date myself, but this is the late '60s, so you weren't part of the mainstream, right? And this therapist saved my life. She talks about how she noticed my natural extroversion out on the playground playing ball, and even if kids were being cruel, I wasn't cruel back, and I just wanted to have a good time. And she helped me channel that energy into a different approach to speech therapy that I use called avoidance and substitution to this day. I stutter every sentence I talk, Mel. I just hide it well. I avoid certain words, substitute certain words. And now it's pretty amazing because I speak for a living, and I'm still a stutterer, though I always will be. But if it wasn't for that transitional moment as a young man with a therapist that wanted to make a difference in his life, I never know what I would have become. So that was
That's
certainly
fantastic.
yeah,
I
that
mean,
was a
and
defining moment.
I knew a little bit about your story, but I love the fact that it was a therapist that was somebody that saw that in you, that encouraged you to just bring that part of yourself
She
out.
did.
And
Yeah.
who'd have thought? I mean, knowing you the way I know you today, I don't know that little boy, but I can't even imagine because you're such a powerful speaker. You have such a strong presence when you speak. You travel all over the world as a communicator and as a paid speaker. It's amazing for me to think about what if that person had not chosen that profession? You know what I mean?
It still amazes me, Melanie. It does. I don't lead with that. A lot of people won't hire a speaker if you put stutter on the front of your speaker bio, right? But it's a great story to tell, and I don't apologize when I do stutter when I speak. Yeah, I use a lot of filler words, as you see. I use ums, I use ahs. I have poignant moments where they think, "Oh, he's in deep thought." I'm just trying to find a word I won't get stuck on
Mm,
sometimes, but it's helped me um, look at my speech as a craft, not just word salad, right? And
right.
not
I love
don't
that.
don't just put out stuff, but I don't take my fluency for granted. So I embrace the fact that I view it as a craft, like an art that I need to do, right? And I think that helps me stay on message. I think it helps me really drive home some powerful things for people that, depending on the client, depending on what the topic of the keynote is, depending on the topic of the program that we're going to do, right? I'm there for them. They're not there for me. So
Yeah, I would imagine it makes everything a much more intentional approach
it
when you're
does.
speaking
That's a
because
great word. Yeah.
you have a script or you have a certain outline that you're using, which gives you a little bit of a safety net because you're kind of talking about the same
Yeah.
type of, program over and over again. But at the same time, you have the ability to have these nuances and customize it for the audience, but still feel like, okay, I've got this down and confident about it.
and I've got to be able to roll with it. I did a 60-minute keynote in Asia Pacific for the Intercontinental Hotel Group, and they said, okay, we're going to have the teleprompters there, right? That's down at the foot of the stage. Where are your notes? I said, well, I don't have notes. And the guy's like, you're going to speak for an hour without notes. I said, well, my PowerPoint, which are all images, right? No words. My PowerPoint are my notes. I know the theme of what I want to talk about. So when the picture's up on that screen, I know what I'm going to say. I'm not scripted though, because if I'm scripted, I go Porky Pig like that. I can't be scripted, right? I can't, because I still, like, if you give me a prepared thing to read all these. If I can't substitute and change out the words, then I can't be fluent. Now, so that's why I got a brain full of synonyms, right? Mm-hmm. Like James Earl Jones is another great example. The great actor, he's also a stutterer. He uses the same technique as I use to be fluent, right? And he says the same thing. You can give me a script and I'll maintain the theme of what you want to talk about in the script, but I got to be able to riff with it or I won't be able to be fluent, right? So it does provide a lot of leeway. No, look, I never stray off topic. We're always on the same topic that we need to be on, right? And but understanding that, and I'm a believer as well, that when you speak from your heart instead of just your head, look, you get a message across that much more poignantly anyways.
Right. It's all about connection with the audience, the same as writing a book. You've got to write the book people want to read, not just the book you want to write.
Bravo. And I mean, you've been there as well as I, and I'm sure we had as professional speakers, somebody could be 5 minutes into something and you're like, they've said this same thing 1,000 times, 1,000 other places. And and now look, some people can still deliver that with heart. Don't get me wrong, right? But I can just tell when there's a level of, I think, vulnerability, transparency, a speaker being genuine, not just a speaker, a teacher, a friend. You can tell when your friend is full of BS or your friend is being honest, they're genuine with you, right? Or a family member. I mean, and that's, kind of what we talk about in the book, right? It's about being authentic, right? It's about the foundations of trust and respect. You can't fake those things. They're real or they're not. And I like that, and they're built in drips and lost in buckets if you're not careful, right?
Oh,
so,
I love that.
And that's what we talk about in the book. So,
well, and tell us a little bit more about your book, because I think it was an interesting journey. When you and I first talked, you were like, oh my gosh, somebody just, hired me to speak and they asked for my book and they wanted 1,000 copies and I don't have a book, so it's like, tell me what this process of getting this book done, pretty quickly and getting it out there. Like, what has that been like for your career as a speaker?
Yeah,
right? I know you're right now in Mexico City. You're like all over the place. It's great.
Yeah, that was part of it. I sold a lot of books for Simon Sinek. I sold a lot of books for Michael Ebershoff. These guys that I know and respect that are great authors, but anytime I would book something and they say, well, do you want it? We'd love to pass out your book. It's like, yeah, I always said it's a work in progress, right? And work in progress. Because even friends early on said, you should really write a book. I'm like, yeah, it's there. And, I would take notes and I'd write stuff down. And finally getting you and your team and Kat was wonderful, you've been wonderful, of getting me to say, set milestones, because the best leaders still need to be managed, still need to be led, right? I don't care how good they are at what they do or how they do it, right? So, but, be real consultative in the approach, not prescriptive, but principled. Like, that's what we like to believe our content is. It's principled, it's not prescriptive, not like, here's what you have to do to be a good leader, because every person's different, right? So that approach was great. And it finally was able to evolve itself in pretty short order. I wasn't in a rush, right? But it evolved itself. You know what? It took just the amount of time it needed to take. That's the way I like to look at it, right? To get to the product that we have, that people that have read it, some are strangers but that came as trusted people. Some were people in the industry that I trusted. I like, the best feedback I got, Mel, was somebody said, Lou, I felt like I was sitting down having a conversation with you while I read the book, to the point where I found myself talking back to the book,
I
right?
love that. That's
On this
great.
topic or this thing, which I thought felt really, really good because then I thought that was the authentic component that I wanted to get, right?
Mhm.
And some of the pieces I wanted to lead to. So no, it was a great process. It was a smooth process. Still a little intimidating at times. I liked the feedback when I got, look, okay, one more look. It's like you could go back and revise this thing a million times and you'll never think you're done.
Oh yeah, I always joke and say it's
Right?
like overprinting your hair on a
Yeah,
date.
yeah, yeah,
You just
yeah,
sit
yeah.
and
It's
if you
like
stay too long in front of the mirror, you're going to keep
done.
finding something wrong.
Exactly. It's done. And also, I put a lot of stuff in on customer service and client engagement, right? I put a lot of other unrelated story and a lot of those things like, hey, that's great for book number 2 or hey,
Yeah,
that's great for book number 3, right?
exactly.
Because again, it can't be, again, as you said, Mel, it's not for you, it's for the people that you want to see and read your book. So I've got great raw material for the next evolution.
That's
And
awesome.
I've got something that I think is a succinct message in a nice little package that I think will resonate with people.
And
So
this is the book. This is your
that's the
book
book.
cover, right? So tell us
Everything is
about Everything is Personal,
everything is
right?
personal. It's a leadership book, but as I wrote it, Mel, it also became more of a be a great person book. I know that sounds kind of self-helpy, but
Mhm.
the idea, and this is same in all the consulting and the sessions that we do, that if you impact the leader, you impact the person. And
Right,
all the traits that make you a better leader make you a better son or husband or father or daughter or neighbor or friend. I mean, it's all those same things. And so it's all
right,
those ideas about, and leaders want to be trusted. They want to demonstrate and be respected and show respect. But leaders generally don't put those things front of mind. They don't go into the
right.
work world saying, the first thing I have to do is build trust with people and they need to trust me. So we put things like trust and respect front of mind. We talk about self-awareness. We talk about self-management, being the master of your own behavior. A little bit about what we talked about before we got online. Be
Mhm.
where you say you're going to be, do the things you say you're going to do, and all those kinds of things. So I think it's good for anybody that, my son, who's a PhD candidate, shared it with some of his friends. And he's like, and their mindset was, this is a book that's just great for somebody who's late in their collegiate career that's going to enter the world, right?
Mhm.
Because same thing, they've got to have great relationships with their professors and their people. And so it's a relationship book at the end of the day.
And the subtitle is Embracing Stewardship in the Workplace and Every Place. I love
Yep.
that because as a leader, how you show up for anything is how you show up for everything. And it begins and ends with us as a person. We hear about all these people going through leadership training to hone their skills to be a better business person, a better salesperson, but we don't realize that it comes down to personal development in order to grow as a professional person in your career
No
or in a
doubt.
business. You've got to start with yourself first. And that is definitely great advice. And you've got a lot of really good tools in there. I just love the cover. Also, #1 bestseller. Congratulations. That's very exciting. And is there anything else that you want to share with people? I know you have a special price today for the book launch, the print version, which is under $10. So it makes a great gift. I always say if you have a boss that you're not too fond of and you can't really talk back to them, buy them this book as a gift with a little smile and a wink, like, hey, I thought of you. This might, I bought this for you as a gift. Because they don't take it as an offensive, like, hey, you really need to read this book because it's all about how to be a better leader. It's an indirect approach, but it actually is the gift of love, like because you're really helping them become a better person.
No, that's exactly it. It'll be at a great price on the day of the launch. I've got these amazing special edition bookmarks, right? That I think anybody that buys it that day can send me a note, and we'll have the email here in a minute. I'd love to send a handwritten note that you can include in your book, along with this. I'll sign and send you a copy or one of the bookmarks as well. That'll have a QR code. That'll have a link to all kinds of great freebies that we've got available. Right, we've got a briefer, a very very short free ebook that we're going to give out. It's about client relations. So there's a lot of the same themes that are in the book, but it's more about the kind of relationships that you want to establish with your client. And it doesn't matter what business you're in. You could
That's
be a
awesome.
you could be a dentist or a landscaper, right? It's if you build a great relationship with the people that you work for and work with, they'll want to keep coming back. So I'm happy to provide that
That's awesome.
as a gift as well.
So how can they reach you? Do they send you an email? What's the best way for them to get in touch with you? We'll also drop the links for your website and everything. If you want to mention that, we'll drop that below as well.
Awesome. If you're going to drop the links, they can get me through the website for the book, which is the same name of the book, except it's .org.
So everythingispersonal.org.
That's it. They can get me through there. There's a direct link to me to contact me through there. My direct email is there. Send me a note there, and we'll be all good to go.
And if someone wants to book you as a speaker, I love the fact that you have this whole background in hospitality, but before we actually started to launch, we were talking about retail space and how there's a shift in a lot of retailers, and you're actually working with a major retailer in Mexico City right now. I don't know if you can share some of those clients, but I think it's impressive, some of the companies that you're working with.
Yeah,
and people watching that want to hire you as a speaker as well.
Absolutely. What's facing retailing is we work with some major luxury retailers. We work with some great fine dining restaurant groups as well. I mean, we've all got the same issue. We want to build loyalty beyond reason with the people that shop with us, eat with us, or in the hotel business, stay with us. Now it's loyalty beyond reason. I'll keep coming back. Right? I'm not going to sweat your price so much. I may drive a little further, right? That's why we pass up those 3 other little coffee shops to get to our coffee shop. Our coffee shop, yeah, they got great product. They've got a nice place, right? They've got all these things, but their loyalty is always resident within the people, right? And when we do our keynotes, those are the things that we talk about. Like, how do we develop and build loyalty beyond reason? Right? What ways do we behave? And companies spend more money. We call it the 4 Ps, Melanie, right? The place, the product, and the process. They spend millions of dollars on building these beautiful retail stores or restaurants. World-class processes, right? World-class product. And then the 4th P, the people, they fall down on the people end, they're out of business. They're done, right? We see it happen time and time again, where a beautiful restaurant opens, all the bells and whistles, and then they're gone. Everybody scratches their heads. It's probably the people component that's missed, right? So how, and it's the people that build loyalty beyond reason. And it's the same in the workplace. If somebody works for you, you want that same level of loyalty, because they're not loyal to their desks or their hardware or their computer. They're loyal to the people that they work with and they work for. So we love speaking about that. We love it.
That's awesome. I appreciate it. Well, thank you so much for just being. You've been a joy to work with. You're just so responsive and you get things done. And I just love how decisive you are. And it's really helped move this process along very quickly to get your book done in a few months and take all this history, personal, professional history. And it's not always easy to cram it all into one book, but you've done it in a very compounded way. And there's such value and benefit to the people that are reading this book. So take advantage of the special price for the print book today with the launch only today, the next 24 hours. And then after that, make sure you send an email, connect with Louis to get the special gift that he mentioned today. Louis, thank you again for being here. Is there anything else you want to add for our audience before we jump off today? Okay, perfect. Again, thank you so much for being here. I know you had to find a place to go while you're traveling all over the world. And it's always amazing to me how we can connect with people globally. So good luck, safe travels, my friend, and congratulations on your success. So proud of you and honored to be part of this journey with you.
Awesome. Thank you, Mel. Cheers.
You're welcome. All right. Take care. All right. So I want to introduce our next author, Laural. Laural, let me have you unmute here. So we've got Laural Roaldson. Thank you for being here. So tell us a little bit about a defining moment in your life. Oh, we might be freezing up for a second. You may have to turn your video off. Let's see. And by the way, while we're waiting for her to unfreeze, if you need help, you guys, if you want more information about how to get your own book out of you and extract it, we have a ton of experts and people and resources. So you can go to our website, mydefiningmoments.com. You'll see that in the link below as well. You can fill out an application, find out more about the type of book that you want to write. We can help you get it out of you quicker and give you the support that you need. We have a whole team of experts. So this is how we help people get their books out of them, out of their head and their heart and into the hands of the people that really need them to really make a difference in the world. So please reach out if you have any questions on that. Love to help you out. Laurel, okay, I see the curtains moving behind you. I think you're not frozen now.
Okay.
Welcome, welcome. Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. So tell us a little bit about like a defining moment or something that happened in your life that helped you end up here today.
Mm. For the ebook, that really was a very important moment for me. I was invited to prune my neighbor's bushes, and I got a book. I said, "Yeah, sure, I can do it." I figured I could, so I got a book. I studied. I'd been pruning uh, my own garden in the woods that I had for years, so I felt good about doing it. I got to his house. I looked at this massive bank of rhododendrons and azaleas that were like 6 and 8 feet tall. And it takes decades for them to grow that big. So it's like I needed to make sure I did it right. And so spoke with my client, and he took off. I picked my book up again, looked at it, and then all of a sudden I heard a voice, and it said, "It's time." And um, that's Henry, my cat.
Oh,
Yeah. So I put down the book, I picked up my Felcos, I crawled into the bushes, which is not a typical thing, but I did. And I sat Indian style, looking at these beautiful shrubs, and all of a sudden I knew what to do. And I just started pruning. And I knew my whole body, everything. I just was so present. And when you're present in nature, it's easiest to be yourself, in my opinion. And so that's when I started my company, right then.
that's amazing. And I've been, I've heard a lot. I remember in Eckhart Tolle and his book. And by the way, I mean, books change lives, books save
Yeah.
lives. I remember in The Presence of Now, or I mean, The Power of Now, his book, he had talked about how he had felt suicidal. And there was this point where he had planned and plotted his own death. And then he had this transformational defining moment outside at a bench, and he realized that when he needed to stop that spiral of these thoughts, if he just got present with nature, that it did so much for mental health. And he included that as a tip in the book, like how to stay present. So whether you're at a desk or in a cubicle or in a place, just having a little plant, you know what I mean? Just something that's alive and just connecting with something that's alive. If it's not a person, if it's going outside and putting your feet on the ground, like planting your feet, touching a tree, feeling a flower on your cheek, like just feeling this connection to nature and being present with something that's alive in nature can bring you back to your present state. It helps with trauma, it helps with PTSD, everything. I love how literally the trees spoke to you and told you what they needed, almost like new parents who don't have an instruction manual of how to take care of their baby. You had this intuitive connection with these trees of what to do to help care for them, right? And
Mhm.
it's such a gift. It's such a spiritual gift, I believe, as how we connect with trees and nature, especially.
I think everybody has it. It's, are you able to hear it? And so I wrote the book so that people can hear it, and they can more easily connect with nature, connect with themselves. That's the real, that's the real gift within the book. Is you get a beautiful tree, you get shade, you get flowers, fruit, whatever the tree offers. You also get connection with yourself.
I
And
love
and
that.
yeah,
So tell us
that
about the book. Like, show me, you have a cover there, you have an example, and
I
this is
do.
your ebook is out, and now we're launching your print. So your print book is out now as well. So choosing your perfect tree. And it's
Tips
what's
from
the
a
subtitle there?
tips from a landscape designer.
And so it's literally about how to choose trees, how to plant them, how to save them, how to revive them, things like that. And which tree is right for you based on your personality, your lifestyle. That's what I love about it, because it really is like I love trees, but I'm so bad at watering my plants. Like I just said, like I try to keep my kids and my pets alive, and my plants are always on the last on the list. So I have like a brown thumb. Even my fake plants die. I'm
Oh,
just being real. Like it's terrible. So I have to, I travel a lot, so it's like hard for me to be there every day to water. And so what's funny to me is how resilient trees are.
They
They
can
can
be.
be hit by lightning, they can have these 100-degree variations of temperature, and it's just amazing how resilient they can be. And like they survive fires, like so many things. And it just depends on the type of tree, and there are people that want to grow certain trees and they live in a different environment and the tree might not survive. So like they need to
Right.
know these things before they plant.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
so what advice would you give somebody who says, you know what, I really want mature trees. So what tree should I get that's going to grow the fastest, that's going to be, the most tolerant in any kind of environment? Is there any one tree that fits all?
No, absolutely not. If when somebody tells me that they want that and they want to grow fast, the first thing I ask them is, okay, are you ready for maintenance? Because trees that grow fast often break easily. Think of something, when a child grows really quickly, they might have their knees might bother them later on. So it's better to have some patience when you are picking a tree, when you want a tree to eventually get really big. Have some patience and let it grow at its own pace. And I would not choose trees that are weak wooded, unless it's going to be out in the middle of nowhere and it doesn't matter if something falls. It's that's your choice. Either it
Mhm.
grows quickly and you may have extra maintenance, or buy a bigger tree. You spend more up front, but you get more up front.
Absolutely. And I'll tell you, I love trees so much. And one of my favorite gifts to give people when they've lost someone is planting a tree in their memory. And we did that when we lost our son, and we planted, I have 4 kids, so I planted 4 trees in our old house. And this was many years ago, and they were really little trees. And just like the kids, they've all grown. And so it's interesting even to drive by in our old house and see, it almost makes me cry because there's 4 trees that grew, and it makes me feel like they represent my kids. And even though I
Yeah.
lost a son, I still have 4 kids, and like his impact on the world is still here. And there's something alive and growing even though he's not with us in his body, in his form. That spirit and that tree is just, it brought me so much joy, and it brought me so much comfort to just sit under those trees on a hammock and read a good book. And like now I know that somebody else, even though we moved from that house after my divorce, that there's other people that are enjoying those trees and they're grateful for the maturity of them when they bought the house. And it was hard to leave them, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? But they have such deep roots, and it represented, as a mother, like when your children grow and leave the nest, but in a sense we left and they grew, and it was just like so symbolic and so cathartic and healing for me that I started doing that for other people as a gift. And it's funny because it's so easy to buy a tree or to gift a tree and plant a tree in somebody's honor as well. So tell us a little bit more about this book. Like, who is this book for? How can it help people? And a little bit more about the book as well.
Okay. The book was written for a novice gardener, really, although professionals can use it because I was a landscape contractor for 26 years. So, I wrote what worked. And I wrote it in a way that an everyday person who isn't a gardener can understand it. There's a lot of analogies, um, like personification to make it easy to go, oh, okay, yeah, I know how I would feel. Oh, trees, it's, for example, when you transplant a tree or you just plant a tree, it's very difficult on the tree. It's hard on the tree. So, it's like us having an operation. So you want it to be a good environment, you want it to be done quickly, you don't want to leave the roots exposed. All of this is listed in the books. They're step by step. So you know what to do and you know why to do it. So the book is for someone who wants to um, get a tree and they want it to live, and they want a tree to have an easy time of thriving. That's who the book is for. So it doesn't matter whether you're getting it as a remembrance, as you did, or you're getting it as a screen to block neighbors, or you want to have fruit. It doesn't matter. Trees need to be planted a particular way in order for them to have an easy time of becoming established.
Right, because otherwise they could have competitive roots. You could have, deeper roots that are going to grow into your piping, your pipes and your plumbing, and that could be a problem
Yeah,
too. So if you are going to plant, and a lot of times if you have major developers and planned communities, they think these things through. If you're in like a newer cul-de-sac or a newer area that's fully developed by developers, the problem is they plant these smaller trees that end up becoming big trees, and after 20 years or so it can cause problems because they don't always think through long term.
for
um
sure. Yeah, they're
and
buying something that is, that it's inexpensive for them, but it
Mhm.
may not necessarily be the right tree for the people that are there and the building and the
And it
street.
can be very expensive to get mature trees. I mean, I have friends that good friends of mine that were clients, and they had this beautiful house that overlooked this bluff. It was on these hills, and they had to helicopter in. They wanted these full palm trees, fully grown, and it was like $25,000 a tree, and they bought 10 of them, and they had to helicopter them in and plant them in the backyard, and then they sold their house and those trees were in there, and it really added value to their home because they were mature trees and it was a brand new, beautiful constructed home. But a lot of times with new construction, you don't have mature trees. And so it's like there's so many different ways and directions that you can go that it's definitely worth having that advice. So if somebody has questions, Laural, how would they reach you? Or do you have a special offer today for people that are getting the book during the launch if they want to reach out to you?
Oh, I do have an offer. So today, if you get the book today, then I give 1 hour free consultation. There's a little mini
Wow.
consultation in each book anyway, but
Mhm.
I will give a full hour to who
That's
buys the book today.
amazing.
Yeah,
That is
yeah,
incredible. And
yeah.
also, now, do you also do things like gardening, or is it just trees? Like, what's the main focus? Is it just trees and landscaping design, or is it also like how to grow a garden and things like that?
You froze. Would you please repeat your question?
Oh, yeah, sorry about that. So is it mostly focusing on trees, or do you also talk about gardening? Like, how broad is the scope of expertise?
Oh, I know the whole thing. As I mentioned, I'm a landscape designer as well, so I still do the design. I was a tree climber for 15 years, a tree sculptor. So I know the trees from the top down and the bottom up.
Mm, yeah.
Yeah. So here's the thing about trees. If you take care of your trees, the rest of the garden falls into place. I don't care what kind of landscape you have. If the trees are dialed in correctly and maintained properly, then the rest of your garden will flourish.
That's awesome. And one thing I was going to say too, because this is just coming to my mind, so I feel like somebody needs to hear this. I have a beautiful home up near Yosemite that has gorgeous trees. And when I bought the home, I got the trees, it came with it. But I was told I'm not a candidate for solar because I have too many trees. And then I had a tree expert that came out, and I can't wait for you to come see my house because you're going to come out soon, and you'll be able to help me with that too. But he was so smart. Like, everybody that came out from the solar companies, not one person came up with this. And the tree guy came out and he was cleaning up the leaves because there's a lot of leaves on the property that take a lot to clean up, a couple of times a year. And he said, you don't have to cut down that tree. You just cut this one branch off the tree, and that's about 30 or 40% of your leaves. And it's going to free up that space for the sun to hit just right if you put solar panels. I'm like, see, you get creative with that. And that alone is going to save me so much time and money, you know what I mean, by just having that kind of advice. So it's totally worth having an advisor, a landscaper, um, a tree expert come out and give you quotes on things like that, even if you're thinking about solar and how the trees are affected or the best way to trim the trees, because it's not
Mhm.
cheap to trim trees. And you definitely don't want to do it yourself. It's not safe to go up and climb the trees with telephone wires and all that kind of stuff. So
Yeah,
I know it's an interesting, beautiful art and science at the same time. It really is art and science combined together in nature.
yeah.
Um, So I'm excited that you're doing this, and I'm so grateful that you have this book out, and it's been extremely helpful to me, and I can't wait to be able to see you in person and have you look at these trees, because I know that you're going to probably give us a lot of insight there too. So how would they reach you if they want to reach out to you or connect with you and take advantage of that consult with the purchase of the book today?
Okay, so I have a launch page for the website, and it's lauralgardendesigns.com. And you can go there, leave your contact information, and I'll know to get back in touch with you about the free consult. But contact me about anything regarding landscaping, and then you'll take it from. Um,
That's
that's
awesome.
probably the easiest way to do it. And by the way, I'm an arborist as well.
That's awesome. I love that. Well, you have so much knowledge to share, and I'm so grateful that you did this book. I know this was a love and process. Like, it took a while to get this going, and you've been thinking about it for a long time. So what was that journey like of saying, okay, I want to write a book? And what advice would you give to people that are just on the fence of trying to get this idea out? They've been thinking about writing a book, maybe they've started and never finished, but what advice would you give to people that are procrastinating or not getting their book done?
Get out of your way. Like that's what I had to do. I had to get out of my own way. The guidance, the curriculum that Defining Moments has, it's spot on. I mean, everything that you taught us was right. And it was a matter of getting out of my own way to be able to do it properly. What you put into the program, you get out. It has changed my life. It's changed the way that I process information. It's changed the way that I make decisions. And I knew that if I did it, it would change the way I think. And that is why I decided to write the book in the first place, that I wanted to change the way I think. And then, as you say, well, what do you know? You ask people, what do you know about? What are you passionate about? I am really passionate about trees. So that's why I decided to write about trees, because trees are the way that I have been able to connect with myself, to become calm, become present. And by the way, I open that Tolle book every day, and I go, okay, higher self, what do I need to know today? And then I'll read whatever it says, and I go, okay, that's what I focus on. But the Defining Moments program is kind of like that, just for a book, for writing a book.
Oh, thank you for sharing that. I love hearing that. And, of course, you did the work. We just kind of were there to guide you along. But, I always say writing a book is a transformational experience. You have to become the person who wrote the best-selling book. And congratulations on being a best-selling author, not just writing the book, but actually getting out there and promoting it and marketing it, which is 90% of it. And a lot of people, they get nervous about being out there in public. But when you're doing something that you're passionate about, that is making great change for the world, it's helping a lot of people, then it's so much easier to just speak from that expertise and that knowledge naturally. Like Lewis said, you don't have to be scripted. It just comes from your heart. And this is what this person needs. And you kind of guide yourself and them through that process. So I'm just thrilled that you got it done, and I'm proud of you for the efforts that you made. And I know it's kind of like giving birth. Like, you have this beautiful little book baby out in the world, and now everybody gets to celebrate that and learn from you. So congratulations on finishing, which is the majority of the battle. A lot of people start a book and never finish. In fact, 80% of people out there say they want to write a book, and only 1% actually do. And that's why we want to bridge that gap and make that a much larger percentage, because there's so many people just like you that are so talented and have so much knowledge that I feel like it's selfish to retire with all that knowledge, or God forbid people leave this planet with that knowledge, and it just goes to the grave with them, because there's so many people that can benefit. And we all think we have more time. We all think we have more time. So when we create the urgency, not just in us getting it done, but realizing that there are people out there. And for some people, the information and knowledge that your book will share could mean the difference between life or death. It could mean the difference between their health or a relationship or business, or, understanding the basics of a garden, or how to grow their own crops and food. And you know, like so many things that become essential and vital for so many people that we all have this great ability to share. And for me, my gift to to people, I feel like, is building platforms and showing people how to plug in to these platforms to promote something or to educate and bring awareness to people. And I've been doing it my whole life. So I'm just grateful to have the opportunity to work with people like you and so many amazing and talented individuals that we've been blessed to help them launch their books and get them out in the world. And of course, none of that matters without the people reading the book, all of you watching this today and getting to know our authors and supporting their books. And please, please, please read their books, share their books, and go back and leave an honest review, because that makes such a big difference for all of these hardworking authors, for them to know your honest thoughts about the book. Also, reach out, take advantage of the special offers that we have today. And I just want to thank you, Laural, for being here. Thank you so much. And congratulations on all your success.
Thank you for having me. Thank you.
You're welcome. So proud of you. All right. Thank you, Laural. And also, I wanted to mention that we have another author, Princella Stringer. She has a book called The Unified Way. This is what her book looks like. Balancing Masculine and Feminine Powers as an Entrepreneur. This is about utilizing human design AI. It is such a fascinating thing. And I hope that you guys get a chance to check out her book. It is such a brilliant insight into the human brain. I know, as personally speaking, as somebody that's a CEO running a company, there's a lot of masculine energy that goes into do, right? And as a woman, sometimes we forget to just be. And the femininity comes from how you show up as just being versus doing. And so being able to balance that masculine and feminine energy, whether you're male or female, there's this whole shift that's happening in the universe right now, where, you know, the roles are becoming blended or gray. It's not like just the traditional male or female even, or households or working environments. So this is such a great book and a great tool for you guys to be able to look into how to do that, how to balance that. And it's also priced at a special price today. Princella wasn't able to be with us today for the live launch, but I want to make sure you know about her book, and make sure, you know, check out the links below and go look at her book as well. She's an amazing, spirited, gifted writer, and has really shared a lot of her blood, sweat, and tears in this process, and gives you some amazing tools. So if you've ever wondered how that human design AI works and how we bridge the gap between balancing male and female energy, masculine, feminine energy, and also how that works with the new AI, you know, process, like how do we compete as humans versus AI? How do we differentiate ourselves and keep bringing that human soul element into everything that we're doing, so that the robots don't win, right? So all of that is in her book, a lot of great tools, like I mentioned. So make sure you check that out as well. I want to thank again all of our authors today. Louis, Laural, Princella, thank you so much for all your hard work and efforts. And I want to thank you all for being here and supporting these authors and everything that they've done. Make sure you click on those links, connect with them, take advantage of the special pricing and the free offers. And if you want more information on how to get your own book out of you, please fill out the information in the application on our website. We have so many great resources. Can't wait to share with you what's happening. Also want to say real quick, we just finished wrapping season 1 of our television show. It's called Recipe for Wellness. It's going to be out in 250 million households by the end of the year. So we're super excited about that. And we're already starting on season 2. So if you're interested in being a guest on that show and you're in that health and wellness space, we'd love to chat with you further about that as well, as we are aligning our spiritual and work connections on that show. So more to come on that. Look for emails to our group. And if you want more information, again, fill out the application. We'll be happy to talk to you about that as well. And again, thank you all so much for being here. Have a great day, and we'll see you all next time. All right, take care, everyone. Bye-bye.